faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's...
And welcome to Superwomen Live on this Sunday night. Big thank you once again to the soccer anchor boys. And Superwomen Live, we bring to you with the news that the Melbourne Vixens have finished the home and away season on top of the ladder. That cannot be changed regardless of what happens in tomorrow night's game between the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic and Queensland. Nor can their opponent be changed. The Melbourne Vixens next Sunday afternoon, a time to be confirmed over the coming days, will take on the Northern Mystics. Of course, last time these two sides met in Melbourne was the famous chairlift experiment, which captured attention on both sides of the ditch. But the Melbourne Vixens in the box seat at home to win their way through to the grand final. Basically, the way the equation works, the Vixens will play the Mystics at home. The winner of that game hosts the grand final with a week off in between. If the Vixens lose that game, they'll play a preliminary final at home against either the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic or the Adelaide Thunderbirds, given the top four is 99.9% secured. So the Vixens have finished on top and will play the Northern Mystics next week. And this is Superwomen Live, the official show of the Melbourne Vixens and Netball Victoria. And this week's edition proudly presented by the Melbourne Vixens premier partner Jason Betting, helping the Melbourne Vixens rest and recover. Plenty of SMSs coming through. Read the AFL, read the Euros, read the Tour, read the cricket. We'll get to all of those after 11 as Global Game Day takes over. You can call us 9429 11 16. You can SMS us 0433 98 11 16. Just a quick score update. Australia 4 for 140 of 35 overs. Bailey 20 not out. Hussey on 5. The last man out was Shane Watson caught in the deep for 59. A pretty solid performance from him, but conditions have been difficult. In fact, 66 Shane Watson made, caught Finn, bowled Swan for 66. The other men to have fallen over the course of the evening: Dave Warner caught Bell, bowled Finn for 10. Forrest caught Keyswetter, the keeper, off Broad for 12. And Michael Clark, the captain, caught Keyswetter off the rolling of Ravi Bopara for 10. Finn 1 for 19. Broad 1 for 31. Bopara 1 for 11. Swan 1 for 17. Dernbach, who you saw playing for the Stars in the KFC Big Bash domestically, has also been used, as has Tim Bresnan. But time for our first guest on Superwomen Live. Joining us on Superwomen Live, one of the greats of the game, now an integral part of the Melbourne Vixens' push to win the 2012 Premiership. Eloise Southby-Halbish joins us on the line, fresh from what has been a very, very long day as the Vixens girls have made their way back home to Victoria. Eloise, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. I know it has felt like we've travelled around the world today, but 3 flights to get out of New Zealand, but we're down in the deep south in Invercargill, so we're happy little campers coming out with a win. So that was the most important thing. Obviously,
after a long period of time on the road, good to be home as well. But you feel it's done the group good, obviously, to spend that time on the road, gelling together, a lot of spare time together in between during the week, and obviously getting used to playing, I guess, back-to-back games against New Zealand now that you've got the Mystics coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the girls have shown with their form that they do travel well. They get along extremely well as a group. Mm-hmm. And I suppose, having the week together in New Zealand was, great for bonding, and also, just getting them set on the task at hand, because when you travel like that, you don't have to think about work and other things going on in your life. So they were solely focused on the job that they had to do, and that was to get 2 wins in New Zealand, and mission accomplished. We did that, and we're moving on to finals.
Now, when we spoke to Julie Hornweg a couple of weeks ago, we asked her whether, obviously, having won the 6 games in a row, then dropping a few on the trot, just started to get the wheels turning again with a couple of victories, the win over the Fever, got a bit of form, obviously, with a strong performance against Adelaide. And she felt that they weren't quite there yet. They were taking the steps towards it, but on the back of the convincing win over the improved Pulse and to beat the Steel so convincingly, how much closer do you think as a group you are to getting back to your best form?
Yeah, well, I suppose as a coach, you're always wanting more improvement. So, yeah, certainly both Julie, myself and Simone McInnes, the other assistant coach, we were extremely happy with the girls, and particularly their opening quarter. And for us, we feel that there is certainly touch there, and we know we're giving the ball, and our defensive pressure is absolutely awesome. The girls kept the Southern Steel to their lowest ever score so for this season. So that was a fantastic effort, and they've done that all year. So, but we obviously still ask more of the group. There's certain areas we need them to improve, and one of that is consistency over 4 quarters, and hopefully, we're building towards that, and hitting the finals, I think is going to gain that momentum, and the girls are really up for it.
Obviously, versatility is the key, and the depth of the squad's been a real asset, but in terms of having a set structure, not that anyone is ever, consigned to a certain position, but we saw Howarth and Caldwell play almost exclusively in the Pulse game, and Beveridge, I think, got 4 minutes in the game against the Southern Steel. Is that an indication that the Howarth-Caldwell combination is the one you're likely to start with in however many finals it happens to be that you play?
Yeah, well, we have a really competitive group, and as coaches, I know when we come in for our coaches meeting before each match, we, particularly with our goaling end, there's 4 goalers there that have the ability to step on and do the job. So it really comes down to training performance, where we're at, the matchup, what we think is likely to happen. And with Karen this last couple of weeks, she hadn't played out 4 quarters in a match for us, so we thought it was important leading into finals. In case that was to happen, we needed to get her out there. We already know that Kate can do that, so we knew that in the back of our mind, and really it will come up to who's performing on the training track, and the challenge is there, and that goes for Tegan Caldwell as well. We've got great depth there, and that's an exciting thing. And I know the goalers, we have our secret goalers meeting. I'm in charge of that end, and we go out and we have a chat, and it's about them all being in the moment and keeping their head in it. No one's to overthink things of why they are or are not playing, and to win this thing, we're going to need them all firing. So that's the game plan, and when they get their opportunity, they just got to get there and stand up and deliver, and they know that pressure's on them.
And obviously it's so important in a Final Four to finish on top. You get 2 chances to make a grand final, both of those at home. Obviously, if you win the first game, you go straight through to the grand final and host it. The Vixens won the premiership in that manner a couple of seasons ago against Adelaide, but you do play the Northern Mystics. That's locked away, I think. I don't think that can possibly change based on any results now. So you know that one's set in stone. Mystics won the corresponding fixture in Melbourne earlier on in the season. It was the famous chairlift afternoon. But what have you taken, I guess, out of that game? You probably haven't known until the last couple of hours that that's who you're going to face. But obviously, looking back, things to learn out of that matchup?
Yeah, well, we've obviously, when we touched down into Melbourne, we frantically grabbed our phones and we're looking at the result, because we knew today if the Mystics had won by more than 43 goals, which, you never know what can happen in a game of netball. We're glad Swiss, pushed them the whole way, and the result was that way. And so we're looking forward to that challenge. Obviously, they've got one up on us, and we're really gung-ho. It's a challenge for us to get out there and do our best against them. And I think even though we've finished number 1, we know that they've had our back before, so we are going to absolutely fire up for this one, because we know that what they're capable of. They're a great team all over the court. There's not one missing link. So I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic matchup between both teams. And we play, different styles, so that makes it great for spectators too. And, to be able to play at home, I think, is of great benefit to the girls, and I know that they're really geared up for it. And
playing at home, I know it's only across the road, but Rod Laver Arena, as I understand it, which is a little bit different. Obviously, still going to be a massive Melbourne contingent down there as well. So just really important with the strength of those home crowds. I mean, you look at the games the Vixens have come from behind to win against the Magic, against Queensland. They made a late charge against the Mystics. They beat the Fever in that manner as well. And it's been extremely beneficial. And I'm sure you would have got a first-hand experience of how powerful a crowd can be in Invercargill, which is obviously regarded as one of the strongest in the competition.
Yeah, look, we're hoping everyone comes out. I know I've got off the plane and said, all right, everyone, Rod Laver Arena Sunday, be there. For us, it's a great opportunity to showcase our sport. Obviously, High Sense is unavailable, so for Trans-Tasman Netball League and Netball Victoria to be able to put it on there is just a credit to netball and a credit to netball in Victoria that we will draw. I have a guarantee on that. I'm positive that all our Vixen members and supporters will be out there and really cheering our girls home this week.
How's the group feeling after the back-to-back road trips? Any niggles? Any players that are I guess have been battling a little bit given the lengthy demands of the road trip?
No, look at it. As I said, it's always tiring. They'll feel it. Probably not today, but tomorrow, the next day, they'll just get a bit tired and make sure they need to sleep and hydrate really well this week. We've got a normal training run and we're playing on our normal day of Sunday, so it's nothing different for us. It's just business as usual. The only little injury was Karen's finger, which, she just came off in the fourth quarter. So, that's just manageable. It's just one of those annoying things when the ball hits it.
Absolutely. Eloise, thank you very much for joining us at the end of a long day. We wish you the best, obviously, with the recovery and gearing up for the start of the finals campaign. What it's all about, hopefully it's a 1-2 punch, win the first one, go through to the grand final, sit back and wait for the opponents and then finish them off in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, that sounds perfect scenario, and it's my favourite time of the year. I love finals, so bring them on.
Eloise Southby-Halbish there joining us on Superwomen Live, and you can join the Melbourne Vixens to celebrate the 2012 season at the MVP Awards night on Friday the 27th of July. Enjoy a night with the Superwomen, dine on delicious food, and be the first to hear the announcement of the Vixens Awards and the coveted 2012 MVP. Go to melbournevixens.com.au to book your ticket. Joining us now on Superwomen Live is Jen McIntyre, as the team manager of the Melbourne Vixens. They've been on the road for the best part of about sort of 9 or 10 days over in New Zealand, a doubleheader playing the Pulse last week in Wellington, then the Southern Steel on Saturday in Invercargill. They've left with 2 big victories and top spot on the ladder, but a fantastic way for obviously the team to spend a bit of time together before a finals campaign. Jen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be back. We've just arrived back about an hour ago, so a big day of travelling. We left Invercargill at about 5 o'clock Australian time. So,
okay.
It's good to be home.
Absolutely. Now, we do hear that the weather down south, and having been to Dunedin/Invercargill in the early part of this year, it is a very, very cold place, and that was in autumn. I would imagine it'd be pretty frosty at this time of year, and not even Melbourne, I don't think, would be able to compete with that as much as we try.
Yeah, no, it didn't rain, though, I must say, the whole time we were in New Zealand, so it's nice for Melbourne to have turned the rain on for us tonight. But it was -3 this morning when we were packing the bus, so it was certainly very cold and very frosty in Invercargill, and lots of snow on the mountains as we were flying to Christchurch, because we've been on 3 planes today, Invercargill to Christchurch to Auckland, and then Auckland to home. So, the weather was definitely chilly in Invercargill.
How have the group managed that, I guess, obviously with a big final to come in 7 days' time, probably I'd imagine next Sunday against the Mystics. Mm-hmm. Having had that travel schedule and a few flights today and getting your way back at the latter part of the weekend, how's the group, I guess, managed the bodies to make sure everyone's right and fresh as they can possibly be for next week?
Yeah, well, after the game last night, after we went to, the Kiwis are big on after-match functions, which is very nice. They feed you, so that solved one of my problems, food for after the match. So we went and had dinner, and then much to the girls' delight, we went to the swimming pool, which we would have thought there'd be a pool open in Invercargill at 8 o'clock at night, but there was. I had some of them scared because I told them it was outdoors, so they were a bit worried about that. But we actually went and did a recovery session at the pool straight after the game, and look, everyone seemed really good this morning. I guess a home final and the opportunity to play in front of your friends and family and the amazing crowds that we've had, everyone's feeling pretty good. So although fatigued today, we did get them out. That's why we did the 3-plane trip today, to get them home so they'll have a good night's sleep in their own beds tonight, and just next week will be a normal week for them. What
about the week in between, going down the smart path, obviously, of spending the week in New Zealand and dealing with the fact that you had to play back-to-back games there as well? What did the week in between entail? Obviously there would have been a lot of training, but a lot of downtime as well for the group.
Well, we planned it really carefully and tried to keep it as similar as we could to what we do in Melbourne. So there were probably only a couple of extra things that happened, a couple of extra meetings. We took the opportunity because we had the whole group together to do some extra things. But the girls had lots of downtime and space, which enabled, the staff to do their thing, the girls to do their things, to get space from one another. But, a really good week. I'm sure girls that you've had in the studio have said that we travel really well, and I think we do. So we started up the year with a bang with those 3 away games, and I think the group has come back really, with a renewed sense of purpose and at the business end of the season. And ideal as well to play 2 New Zealand teams in a row and then come up against one in the final. So, I mean, it's definitely planned, really.
Absolutely, and it was always probably going to be the Mystics or perhaps the Magic, who have been travelling along very nicely, but due to the fact the Mystics won, they got that equal share of top spot, but the inferior percentage, which means the game is in Melbourne, which is hugely significant. Had the girls been keeping an eye on that throughout the course of the day, obviously the Mystics playing the Swifts, had the Swifts have got up, you probably would have played Adelaide, I think.
No, we were. So in between our plane trips, we were, as you know, they're netball mad in New Zealand. So everywhere you go, you recognise the netball was on at the airport, which was good. So we had a look at the score, and one of the athletes, who shall remain nameless, she misread the score and thought Tactics were beating Adelaide. So that was interesting to us. But, so we kept an eye on that, and then we obviously were flying when the Mystics were playing, but when we landed, we saw that I think Swifts were up when we landed, and Julie Hornwig, our coach, has stayed to watch the game. It was too good an opportunity not to, so she stayed to watch the match. So she was texting the score through, so, we knew what was happening.
Can you give us some hint as to who that might have been that made that mistake?
No.
Okay.
I can't name and shame. I promised I'd tell stories, but no names.
All right, that's all right. Hopefully it'll come out one day. But obviously travelling with the team, everyone would get to know each other pretty well. I'm sure they all do anyway. But any humorous habits or inside word that you've been able to wean out of some of the travel habits of some of the players, some of the things they do in their downtime that you've learnt about?
They seem to shop. It appeared to me that there's no shops in Melbourne the way some of the girls hit the Wellington shops, which came back to bite them a little bit this morning at, the crack of dawn in Invercargill when they were emptying their bags because they couldn't get their bags on the small plane from Invercargill to Wellington. It was a 68-seater, and, the airline was not too happy with the 29-kilo bag that one of them presented. So, they seemed to shop. So they did a lot of shopping in Wellington. We were staying in downtown, right in the city, so the shops were lots of bargains, apparently. So, that I've learnt they like to shop, which I probably already knew. But, excess baggage did become a bit of an issue. Yeah,
I understand Sarah Wall, I think, led that tour party from what I can gather or what I've been able to monitor over the course.
There's a bit of styling going on from what I can gather. Sarah may have taken a group and there was a bit of trying of clothes on and things like that. So, a really girly fun.
And how about your own experiences, I guess, travelling with the team and getting to spend, a long period of time with the group as they prepare for a finals campaign? Obviously, you've got your own significant role to play. What's your, I guess, when you're over there for such a long period of time, what specifically are you, or is your main role when it comes to that lengthy trip?
Well, I guess I do all the organisation of the travelling logistics, so the flights, the accommodation, the food, the day-to-day running, the schedule. So I guess my job is just to try and make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible for the group and make their job easy and that they just can concentrate on their netball and their training and problem solving. I think one thing about this group, it's really... it's a credit to them. If something goes wrong or a situation comes up, which, it always happens, something happens on the road where everyone's really good at staying calm and just finding a solution and not, getting too stressed. So, just keeping everything nice and calm, I think, would be my main job.
And just finally, do you think it's obviously a really good sign of the growing professionalism of the sport? I know it's always been, the sports are always striving for the best possible outcomes for their athletes, but you'd picture that being, I guess, the kind of things that you'd see from AFL sides and NRL sides. It's obviously very, very smart in terms of preparation, but we know a lot of players work outside of the game, but the fact that they're able to arrange to travel with the group and spend and basically go down that path is a sign, obviously, of the growing trends of professionalism in the game and the way that people are now able to put the investment and the time into the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And, hopefully that will just continue to become a better situation for the girls, because it's so tough to be, earning the income that a lot of them do from netball, but the time that we expect and is required to be a professional netballer or an elite netballer nowadays, it needs to be full-time. So, it's exciting that we're getting there, albeit slowly, but, fingers crossed that it's not too far away, that they can just concentrate on playing and doing all the things that you need to do to be the best player that you can.
Absolutely. Jen, thank you for your time. Well done on the role everyone's played in getting the Vixens back with 2 victories, and we look forward to the Northern Mystics next Sunday as the finals kick off. They win that, they host the grand final. We do, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Jen McIntyre there, team manager for the Melbourne Vixens. The Aussies starting to ramp it up a bit in the cricket. 4 for 171. Hussey's on 14. Bailey is on 38. An update from the Tour de France as it stands at the moment. Michael Morkov from Team Saxo Bank leading the breakaway at the moment. There's half a dozen or so in that one. Fabian Cancellara still leading the peloton, which is about 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind. In that peloton, you find a lot of cyclists, including Bradley Wiggins. Cadel Evans is amongst that pack as well. So we'll keep a very, very close eye on that. But on Superwomen Live, we have one more special guest for tonight. Of course, a huge level of support for the Melbourne Vixens across the ditch in New Zealand. There was a big contingent in Wellington for the first match against the Central Pulse, and then again in Invercargill against the Southern Steel. A man leading the charge, the Vixen supporters tour, was Jamie Howarth, of course, the partner of Karen Howarth. Jamie, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks, Darren.
Now, what was it like, I guess, getting across and spending a bit of time with the group and leading a pretty passionate Vixens crew? I mean, I think the general consensus from everyone who's been to the netball is the Vixens crowd and Melbourne crowds in general are as loud as they get, and to take that support overseas and help the girls out in New Zealand must have been an enormous thrill as well.
Absolutely. It was about, I believe, 2,500, supporters for the other team. So obviously for us to be there with only 20, we certainly had our work cut out for us. But nevertheless, we were right above the stands of the opposition, bench. So we certainly had our true colours, our supporters, tops, colours, shirts, scarves, everything to do everything possible in terms of chanting. We waited very patiently to get a little break in the music. There's certainly got a lot of music and DJ and a lot of, backgrounds going on there. And as soon as we had our opportunity, we were up, loud, proud, and certainly chanting away for not only Victoria, for the Vixens, for every single girl. So,
is there a big difference, I guess, in the way the crowds act in New Zealand compared to Australia? Are there differences in noise? And obviously you mentioned a lot of music and DJs and that sort of thing as well. But is it a different experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I went to every single home game at Hyacinth. The biggest thing that struck me was certainly when things are not going the way of their team. It's very quiet. You could certainly hear a pin drop. So there was great opportunities for us to just continue the momentum, build it, work on certainly any chant, any sort of support we could drum up. It was a good, strong start from the Vixens, so it was obviously quite easy for us. But looking back, you look at I guess the fact that they've got a few different sponsors there. They give out a few different little things coming through there. It's a cold, wet, windy place. Not that Melbourne is sometimes, but you certainly had it nice and loud and proud to be keeping you nice and warm in the stadium. But I certainly found it quite a different, unique experience compared to what we get in Melbourne. But to be surrounded by likes of lifetime members of Netball Victoria that were with me, plus quite a few others, certainly some big supporters of the Melbourne Vixens in our little group there. Yes.
Obviously being very, very close to the side as well. We know Karen's had worked her way through the ranks and been a much-travelled netballer. What's the experience been like from your point of view, being married to a vixen? Obviously, the time demands would have gone up. I know when she was in the studio, she's still balancing work, and she credited the role that you've played in obviously helping her through those time demands as well. But how have you found the experience?
Yeah, I guess certainly the ANZ Trans-Tasman League is quite different to not only the ANL, the state, and you've got huge commitments. You've certainly got to prepare yourself. I know Julie Coletto said, in the past, from the very beginning at the start of the year, you've got your whole sort of planned, mapped, time. Mm-hmm. So I guess that plays a very important, pivotal part for us, and even in a partnership, there's certainly communication, I believe, is the key. Where you've got you've got everything at your fingertips. So iPad, iPhone, everything, it's all available straight away. Look, you make sure that it's quite clear. It started out as notes on the fridge when we first dated, and it's now gone to very quite. It's a lot more, I guess, up to date. Electronic email, so constant email, constant streaming through Facebook. So technology plays a huge part, especially being in New Zealand. Some of the games I've sat and watched, and it's been quite cold and isolated, not having anyone else in the crowd. In some of those state netball hockey centre games. So to go to Hyacinth and being in a crowd of quite close to 9,000. It's fantastic. So it's credit where credit due. Karen and all the players, work hard. You see behind the scenes the intensity. I know the coach always talks about their training, but that is true, to no word of a lie. There's certainly a lot of commitments involved off the court, so they've certainly got to prepare, and they've got to do clinics. So for us, it's about managing time efficiently, making sure, we've got our own sort of time put aside and so forth. We're up to close to 6 months of marriage, so it's certainly been smooth sailing for us. And, I guess married to a netballer and quite a great athlete, it's definitely got its huge perks. So I enjoy that side of it as much as, obviously,
Absolutely, and you must be confident that the journey. Obviously, we know her first game was as a star performance against Queensland. She then shot the winning goal against that very same side later on in the season. Played pivotal roles in a number of victories, and now quite a very real prospect of a premiership straight away with the Melbourne Vixens. And as you said, the step up into playing in front of these big crowds, and the way she's been able to slot into the side, getting full games across there in New Zealand as well. You must be obviously extremely proud and confident that the journey's going to end in a few weeks' time with the best possible outcome.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Look, you've got to go in 100% confident. I know, that's what each one of the players, absolutely do. You look at it from every angle, and you critique it and so forth, and there's lots of forums going on in the background that everybody's got their opinion, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to the players and how well. And I took on board, I guess, a great comment from some of the New Zealand commentators from the game that just passed last night, New Zealand time, and it was mentioned that Karen really just, I guess, demanded that ball to be fed to her, and that's certainly something that I guess, the coach would be certainly, saying if you want it, you step up and it's there and it's here, and certainly, obviously knowing that that's what's required, and that's where all of the training and so forth, and all the sacrifices that, as a sort of partnership that. And with our private life, that's what it all comes down to, those fantastic wins, those games, even the one-pointer games, being there and just being able to stand up and shake hands with all the other players, family and so forth, and partners and friends, and you really just, you certainly enjoy that moment. I can totally and utterly not be able to control myself with this game coming up this Sunday with the Mystics. It will be absolutely fantastic. I'm very privileged to have a reserve seat at the very front row of the previous, last 6 home games, and I've enjoyed that spot immensely. Being able to see the quick changes from the bench, and be able to, absolutely just about, smell the sweat coming off the girls and so forth. So that was a great.
Absolutely. Jamie, thank you very much for your time. Good luck for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll see you at Rod Laver Arena. We'll all be there, and I'm sure we'll all be there loud and proud and hopefully cheering them home.
Fantastic. Thanks, Darren.
Jamie Howarth there, husband of Karen Howarth, all part of Superwomen Live. Join the Melbourne Vixens to celebrate the 2012 season at the MVP Awards night on Friday the 27th of July. Enjoy a night with the Superwomen, dine on delicious food, and be the first to hear the announcement of the Vixens Awards and the coveted 2012 MVP. Go to melbournevixens.com.au to book your tickets. Anonymous says off the SMS, go Vixens, Maddie or Jiva for Vixens MVP. I'd go with Madison Brown, probably for the league MVP as well. Absolutely dominating. Jiva has had a very good year, and congratulations to Madison Brown, who won Australia's fittest netballer as well, with Bianca Chatfield, the skipper, in third position. Australia 4 for 194 off 42 overs. We'll give you an update on that and the Tour de France after our next break, when we commence Global Game Day. Plenty of your SMSs to look at. Terry Wallace will join us. We'll cross to France. Sophie Smith will join us to talk about the Tour de France. Teo Palazzeri's back in the land of Oz. He'll speak to us as well. Lee Gaskin wrapping up NRL, previewing the State of Origin. Mark Stone